I tell you a really interesting indie fact, right?
Come on, what
This
we
is
like
a
on the
mad
podcast.
fact.
Come on.
This is a mad fact. I still can't believe it, right? But it needs to be validated, right? So don't quote me fully. But before we were going on stage, I used to do a lot of mixtapes. We'd put on the mixtape and, you know, we'd all get hyped up for we're going to go on, right? And one of the tunes was Fool's Gold, right, by Stone Roses. And Flea comes into the dressing room and he's like, hey, I wrote that.
Welcome. We are Neil,
Luke and Dave.
340-somethings reminiscing on the runners and riders of 90s guitar music.
We look at the bands who soundtracked our youth on both sides of the pond and interview some of our heroes from the bands that defined a generation.
You'll hear about the good, the bad and the ugly of 90s guitar music.
This podcast is Stupid and Contagious. Episode 58 of the Stupid and Contagious podcast. Whee!
Why is that a wee? It's not a special number.
58, isn't it?
Yeah, the big 5'8". Yeah.
That's what we've been gearing up to.
Here it is.
Yeah, speaking to Ross from Symposium later. That's a good one. What a nice guy. Anyway, we'll get to that later on. Before that, as always, give everyone a rundown of stuff they don't really care about or need to know. What's everyone been up to?
Dave, what's the word in the village?
Come on.
Well, the only thing I can think of that of note is going to be misinterpreted, willfully misinterpreted by you.
Brilliant. Bring it on. I'm ready and waiting to misinterpret it willfully. Well,
we've been, there's a lot of apples in the garden, so we've been masticating them a lot.
Oh man, you're making it too easy. You've been doing what?
Masticating.
I bet you have.
Hey,
we've got a masticating machine.
Masticatorium. Yeah. What does that involve?
You just put the apples in it. You can put ginger, carrots, celery.
What is it? It's like a fruit apple press.
It's not a press. It's a masticator. So it sort of grinds it up. It chews it up, and then the juice drops out the bottom.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
It's great. It's just
you're making your own juice.
What?
You're making your own juice.
Yeah.
In the
Dave's
masticatorium.
Juice.
Dave's juice. I'll buy that for $1. How many litres have you produced?
Only a couple.
Dave's juice.
Yeah.
2 litres.
Maybe you can get him to sell it at Middle Farm. Dave's juice.
Yeah. About £10 a bottle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you pay £5 for a loaf of bread, then sell Dave's juice for £10 a pop. No problem.
Why didn't you take some of Dave's juice to that bloody produce thing instead of potatoes full of worms?
Well, the apples weren't ready then, were they? That was a month ago.
Yeah, it's fair. Have you had any kids coming in and scrumping them?
Yeah, scrumpers.
No, we don't actually.
Wait till the word gets out.
Yeah.
Anything else? But what about village life? Apart from your masturbating?
Nothing much. There was a wasp nest in the village green, but that was it.
Who dealt with it?
I don't know. Some kind of, pest control got called in.
Yeah.
There were signs around the green warning people not to go in.
Shit. Cordoned off.
I went in. I didn't see anything.
You rebel. You went through the barricades.
Yeah.
Fuck you, I'm going in. Luke, what's been going on in Tokyo?
Not a lot. No, I went out for a curry. That was all right. Went to this cool old jazz bar, which was really nice. It's been going since like 1978. It had all these like handmade speakers and stuff in it. It's really cool. Tube amps, all that kind of nerdy stuff that I like. It was really cool.
Nothing else, sir.
Well, similar to Dave's Apple Press, I've got a bread maker.
Fucking hell, we're old.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Dave's pressing apples and you're making bread.
It's fucking incredible.
Go on, tell us more. What have you made?
Bread.
Infuse what are you infusing it with?
Well, I've done a few things. Did like raisins and stuff earlier. Did a cinnamon one, which is pretty good. Made a pizza. Oh, you're Swedish, dude. It's like it tasted like those cinnamon bread you get in Sweden. It was good.
I know.
He's probably had too much of it while he was
You're a
over there.
traitor to the Swedish cause.
Good TV show, wasn't it?
Hey, what's that?
Bread.
Do an impression of Grandad.
Go on, Neil.
I want me
Or
tea.
Joey.
I want me tea.
That's not it.
That was good. That was good, man.
I want my pudding.
Oh, that's it. Me pudding.
Where's my pudding? You say.
That's it. Yeah.
Neil, what have you been up to?
Well, I'm currently dog sitting at my brother's house.
Okay.
But it's quite nice having the dog. We've made friends, go for walks and stuff, talk to it.
What's his name or her name?
Her name, she's called Ripley after the alien character.
All right.
No, I'm about to buy tickets to go and see Jeff Wayne's War of the Worlds. Been meaning to see it for a few years now.
Oh man, you used to play that album a lot when we were teenagers.
Well, now you can go and watch it.
You insisted upon it. Thought it was so fucking cool.
It was. I was ahead of the time, ahead of the game. Everyone loves it now.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, I mean, I did take the piss out of you at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is pretty good.
Yeah, so they're doing that at the Bryant Centre next year. Dave, you can come if you want, but you probably don't want to.
Any health problems? I always like a good health problem. And I think the listeners do as well.
My hay fever has been really playing up this last week, but like more than ever before.
It's a bit of a boring health problem, though, isn't it?
That's a boring one, yeah.
Oh,
I was hoping for something more anal.
Bet you fucking were. If you are watching this, then please remember to subscribe to the channel, comment below, give it a thumbs up. And if you're listening, then please do rate, review, and tell all your mates. Onwards and upwards. Right, so Symposium. Tell us a little bit about Symposium. I remember them well. I'll see if I can find a Wikipedia thing.
Dave, were you aware of Symposium before today's episode?
Oh yeah, I was aware of them, but I wasn't a fan. I didn't really know much about them. But to be fair, it's not really my sort of music.
All right, so do you want to hear the Wikipedia thing?
Yeah, go on.
So Symposium are an English punk pop band.
Have you ever read the Symposium, Dave? You're a philosophy guy.
Nah.
Really? It's pretty
I didn't
good.
bother with the breaks.
No. It's lots of boy love going on in there. It's good. All right, Symposium. Yeah. What did you say? Punk pop? Yeah. I mean, I think UK pop punk is fine. I saw one website call them London's answer to Green Day. No?
Not sure about that.
All right.
You got those comedy glasses on again.
I'll read my notes. They're not comedy glasses, they're fucking glasses, you pissant. I should note, there's another band called The Symposium. They were like a newer band. And they sound a bit like the Strokes. I had to listen. They sound a bit like the Strokes, but not as good. It's not them.
Fuck
it's
those
Symposium
guys.
From the 90s. Yeah, exactly.
Why would you call yourself? Why would you name yourself close to a band that were really popular?
There you go.
Why would you do that? They must have not heard of Symposium.
Yeah, American band.
Idiots.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Wow.
5-piece. Ross Cummins, today's guest. Joe, William, Hagop, and Wojtek. So a pretty international group. So from England, Ireland, Armenia, Poland. So international.
How did that come
group.
about?
It's London, isn't it?
They're all born in England, aren't they?
Yeah. Just their heritage. It's London. So formed in London, Shepherd's Bush.
Bloody multiculturalism.
Aye.
You know.
Aye. I know.
Make England great again.
Get arrested these days, don't you?
Not allowed to say anything. Not allowed to fly the English flag.
Not allowed to say Merry Christmas. So yeah, as you were about to say, they were basically active officially from like 94 to 2000. But as he explains in the interview, they started way before that, basically 89, 90, when they were like 12 or 13 years old, which is it's about similar to when we met each other, isn't it?
When we started our band.
They're actually younger than we are.
Exactly. He's 1 year younger, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There haven't been many guests that have been younger, have there?
No.
One or two.
So yeah, as he explained, they kind of spent a few years playing covers and trying to write songs and stuff. They finally signed to Infectious Records in 1996, and they're still only around 18 at that point. I think Wojtek was a little bit older, but he was like 19 or 20. Not
I've
much older.
been mispronouncing his name. Predictably mispronouncing his name for this.
It's a hard one.
30 years. Well, I used to call him Wojtek.
Yeah.
Which is
well, that's what it looks like. That's how it reads, right? It reads like
I
Wojtek.
think so.
Yeah. But apparently it's Wojtek.
So apologies. Wojtek.
Apologies to who?
That's not even right, is it?
Who are you apologising to?
Wojtek.
Okay.
Yeah.
And as we talk about in the interview, the fact they were not only young, but they looked so young. Yeah. So debut single, Drink the Sunshine, came out 97, which I bought when it came out. CD single. It's great.
I remember it well. Do you want me to tell the story?
Yes, I do.
Right. Dave, do you want to hear the story?
Can't wait.
I said yes already.
When I went to university, one of my best mates at uni, his best mate was A&R for Infectious. So I knew all about these kids. He used to talk about them a lot. And before they were sort of big. So I also, off the back of that, I went to Ashes, the release party for the 1977 album. So yeah.
All right. What's the story though?
Yeah.
That's it.
Whenever you're ready, man.
So I'm going to try and get him on because he'll have some good stories. He's an A&R
the A&R guy.
Infectious, yeah. But yeah, so I'm just saying, just trying to be cool. Just trying to be cool.
You are, man. You are. This was followed shortly after by getting the cover of Melody Maker and being labelled the best live band in Britain by Everett True, who we talked about quite a lot in the 1991 episode. I think he's the guy that brought the world Nirvana and grunge, basically.
Yeah, I think Main Street got a similar front page.
Yeah, what was the tagline?
It might have been in the middle of the Bournemouth Echo. Probably.
Sure. Yeah.
Best live band in Britain.
His best live band in Bournemouth.
Yeah, carry on.
This was followed by a second single, Farewell to Twilight, which Neil mentioned before, which again I bought CD single of at the time. That got to number 25 in the charts, so they're already in the charts by this point. And they released kind of a mini album, which got behind me, One Day at a Time, later on in the year as well, which got to number 29. And I think it's amazing. It's pretty much
it's
all killer, no filler. It's great.
Yeah, I agree.
They also played TFI Friday around this time, which I have a really strong memory of, mainly because he was wearing an Animals that Swim t-shirt, and I watched it and I thought, oh man, I wonder who Animals that Swim are, and I started listening to them because of that. I mentioned it in the interview, but it's totally true.
Yeah.
And they had Fair Weather Friend was their next single, which I think is their most successful single, and they got them on top of the plops. I wasn't trying to do that. I wasn't doing that on purpose. Got them on top of the pop.
It still makes me laugh. Plop.
That wasn't on purpose. That was just a sip of the.
No, I just think the word plop's funny.
Oh, it is. Have you watched it
Top of the Pops,
recently? No, I should have done.
Yeah,
I watched the clip.
Keep not asking people stuff.
I can't ask everything. It's all about the flow of the conversation, man.
You do a good job, man.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I watched a clip when I was researching for this. It's introduced at the start by Jane Middlemiss as a noisy, wild, anarchic symposium. Now, get this. Apparently, Ross was the first ever performer to stage dive on Top of the Pops.
Oh, I didn't
Did
know
you
it's
watch it?
possible.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
watched it back?
Yeah. He just jumps into the crowd. Yeah.
Right.
And
I'll
also
have to
at the
watch
end, all the kids come up on the stage, and it was the third ever stage invasion on Top of the Pops.
Third.
The third.
Didn't,
Can you guess the other two?
Wow.
Yeah, I think one of them was Wizard.
Oh, I don't think that counts. They're just all on stage anyway.
Okay.
They're part of it. Yeah.
Well, who else was it then?
Nirvana
Nirvana.
and
Lighthouse Family.
Oasis. Not
Ah.
Lighthouse Family, no. Oasis.
Oasis.
Apparently so.
What about the dive?
What do you mean?
Did they let that go out in the show?
Yeah. He's not in the crowd for long. He just kind of jumps on top, and then he kind of scrambles around. They pass him back to the stage, but you see him kind of being passed back to the stage, kind of face first. It's pretty cool.
Is it a staged stage dive?
No. It seemed pretty. What's the word?
Spontaneous.
Yeah. Spontaneous. That's the word I'm saying. Wow,
I got a word right.
You did, man. In the right time, right part. All right. They supported loads of massive bands: Red Hot Chili Peppers, Pooh Shiters, Deftones, No Doubt. They went out on the Warped Tour. Bad Religion, NoFX, Rancid. These are global superstars. First, what about Dave Grohl being a love rat? What do you reckon about that?
He's not the nicest guy in rock anymore, is he?
He's a love rat.
He's a bloody love rat. I knew it. No one can be that nice, can they?
I think he's still the nicest guy in rock.
But he's a love rat.
He is a love rat.
He can't be the nicest guy in rock and a love rat.
You reckon?
But he owned up to it, isn't he?
Yeah.
He
Doesn't
did.
matter.
He did own up to it. Yeah.
It doesn't matter. He's tarnished his name. He's not the nicest man in rock. We need to find a new one now.
We do. Yeah. They released their first proper album on the Outside, 1998. Got to number 32 in the charts. Produced by Youth, yet again another band produced by Youth.
Come up again, yeah.
And according to Wikipedia, they tried to get Butch Vig to do it, but I don't know if how true that is or not.
That probably is true because he did talk about. I think Garbage was sort of label mates for a while. And
Okay.
Butch Vig, Garbage. So it's not unfeasible.
Sure. They supported Metallica as well, and basically, they did really well. Broke up in 2000. Seems it was pretty amicable and everything like that. Will and Joe from the band went on and formed Hell is for Heroes, which basically was at the start. Start of that kind of that wave of kind of early 2000s UK post-hardcore, which I think is a really interesting scene. Bands like Million Dead and Your Codename is Milo. Biffy Clyro were part of that as well. Even Funeral for a Friend I would put in there. Into Shikari, Fight Star even. They were like the pop version.
I'm with Dave. I don't understand any of these fucking scenes.
But I just wonder what hardcore
is. It is.
I like Jet Plane Landing quite a lot. And
Stop telling us what you like.
Just ask the fucking question.
I'm just naming bands so I can put them on the playlist. It's like hardcore, right?
Yeah.
But you put it but you get it from the post of it.
He's having us on, Dave. He's trying to make us look stupid.
No, it's like a slowed down kind of more it's like a slowed down kind of more heartfelt version of hardcore, basically. So it's got the elements of like hardcore punk, like the guitars and everything.
Yeah, but
it's got a slowed down version. It's like fast punk
hardcore,
rock.
you know the score.
That's different. That's happy hardcore, which is different.
But what is hardcore then?
It's just like fast, intense punk rock.
You're not allowed to talk about them anymore, but was Lost Prophets part of that as well?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Wojtek went solo. Hagop became a electronic dude, working with Hot Chip. There's a track on Hot Chip's first album named after him.
I like a bit of Hot Chip.
And I said, well, we'll see it on the interview. But he released an album a couple of years ago, which I picked up. It's really good. Ross himself was in a band called Paper Cuts for a little while, but he went into civilian life, I think, pretty quickly after that. But as he announced on the podcast, he's got a new band called Big Spin, and they got music coming soon, which is really exciting. I should mention they did have a reunion gig in 2022 and a couple more last year as well in 2023. And there's some footage online of the reunion gig, and it's really good. So if you're into Symposium back in the day, they haven't changed at all. Ross is still all over the place, jumping into the crowd, and loving it. It's really, really
But
worth
he didn't
looking
mention
up on
another
YouTube.
gig, did he? It sounded like that's it for now, didn't it?
Yeah, there were a couple. It does sound like that's it for now, and he's doing his new thing, Big Spin. So we'll see. We'll see.
Never say never.
No,
I'm sure there'll be a time, and it might be right again. Anyway, shall we listen to the interview and have a chat afterwards?
Let's do it.
Here's Ross Cummins from Symposium. Enjoy.
Thanks for coming on. How are things?
Yeah, good. Yeah. Thanks, Luke, for having me on today. Yeah, I'm just here in the top of the house, hiding away from everybody, and just chilling out, really. I'm based in Hitchin, Hertfordshire.
That's where you're from, yeah?
It's not where I'm from now. I'm from West London, so like sort of Shepherd's Bush.
Okay,
yeah. But then like a couple of years ago, well, I kind of lived in Norfolk for a bit, and then I moved then to Hitchin like about 6 years ago or that. Just for sort of work, really, because it's sort of nearer to London.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm down the road from all the Smash lot. I know they're podcast
Wow.
favorites.
They are indeed. Yeah.
They play like now and again. They do shows now and again, like
in your area.
Yeah, now and again. Yeah. So
nice.
yeah.
And you said so you work in London. What do you do these days?
Oh, I do like IT stuff. So I look after like databases, basically,
Right.
which I just love. I just love it. Right, I just think it's great. I kind of fell into it really after the band, after Symposium kind of split up the end of '99. Yeah, like my friend was basically working for like this telecoms company, and I remember thinking, God, I need a job. I don't know what I'm going to do. And my friend's like, just come work with us, and all of the people who like music, they're all downstairs in the basement, looking after all the servers, right? So that's just where I ended up. Yeah. And then,
wow. I'm sure we'll get onto that later. But yeah.
Well, I'll probably bore you to death if I start talking about what I do. But it's interesting. It's interesting to me, but no one else, right?
Dave will be into it. He's a computer programmer. He'll be into it.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to the early days then. So can you talk about how the band came together and everything like that?
Yeah, Symposium. Well, we all kind of met at school. So I think I guess we would have got together around like 1980. I think it was 89 was like the first year, basically, when we were in set. Well, the band wasn't formed then, but like that's kind of when we all met in the first year of secondary school. So yeah, I remember talking to Haggot, our guitar player, was the first person I ever spoke to, and wow. I don't know why, I just kind of gravitated towards him. I think I could just tell that he looked like someone who was into rock music, and he was into two things that I liked. So one was rock music, and secondly, he was into skateboarding as well. So we were like massive skaters, and yeah, I think the first conversation I had with him was about like Guns N' Roses. And then I met Joe Birch, who was the drummer. He had, I remember he had one of those duffel bags, like the army surplus ones.
Sure.
Yeah, and like everyone back then used to like scroll on band names onto their duffels, and he had Neds Atomic Dustbin on there. And what was the other band? I think he had Mega City 4, Neds Atomic Dustbin, Senseless Things, and
podcast favorites.
Yeah. Like, so that was my kind of intro to Joe. I sort of said, you like these bands, right? And then we kind of got talking, and then Will was our guitar player. He was kind of into the same sort of stuff I was into. So I was like, yeah, let's get a band going. And we were pretty young. We were like, we were useless. None of us could, none of us could play our instruments, or I guess I could sing. I could hold a note.
Sure.
But like, it was all very, Let's see
Yeah.
if we can do something. So yeah, we just started putting on our own shows. We had there was like a youth club basically down the road from where I lived, and they had all the gear. They had like kind of instruments that were donated to them.
Mm-hmm.
So we would just turn up there on like a Friday, pay 20p to get in, and just make a load of noise basically. And that's where it started really. And we kind of done that for about a couple of years basically, just for having a laugh, playing covers and stuff like that, and trying to write songs.
Right.
But
what songs did you cover?
Oh, just everything really, like all the kind of 90s grunge stuff mainly.
Great.
Like Smashing Pumpkins and Nirvana and L7.
Great.
All those kind of things we used to cover. Minor Threat. Actually, we've done quite a lot of Minor Threat songs.
Nice.
Yeah, and yes, we've done that for a while, and we kind of realized, we were finding it hard to kind of write our own songs. I'd written quite a lot of songs, but they were kind of like they were a bit like, I mean, at the time there were bands like about like Huggy Bear, and like some of the kind of Riot Girl bands. A lot of that I was kind of quite influenced by a lot of that, and so I'd written quite a lot of stuff like that, but it didn't really kind of fit the aesthetic of the band at the time, because everyone was kind of into skate punk. So I kind of parked that, and then I met Wojtek Gudzisz, who he ended up playing bass in the band, and he was a couple of years older than us, and he was doing like 4-track demos of his own music, and it was really good. And I was like, well, you're not in a band, so you might as well join our band.
Yeah.
And then I think he joined our band, but I think at first he was almost a bit like, who are these kids? Like,
Sure.
we were a bit younger. At that age, you're kind of like 2 years apart.
Oh, completely.
Then, right?
Yeah.
But,
yeah. And a big difference in the music you're into as well, right? Even just 1 or 2 years difference.
Yeah, I mean, we were all into different stuff, really. Like there was kind of, there was the whole kind of skate punk side of things, because like me and Haggot were into like all of those like DC bands from skate videos. So like back then, a lot of the music that we would find out about, you have NME and John Peel, stuff like that, but the real like cool stuff that we were into was on skate videos. So there was a lot of skate,
like Minor Threat and Bad Brains and all of that.
Yeah, all of that kind of old school like stuff. And I remember there was like a Minor Threat video that was doing the rounds where I think they were playing at like the 999 Club in Washington or something, and it's just like hordes of people on the stage, like people diving off and all that kind of stuff. And I'd never really seen that, before.
So
and
good.
That that really appealed to me. And I was like, I want to do that in England. I want to get that going here. So we were pretty young. So we couldn't really play proper venues. So our first gigs in '94 were basically ones we put on ourselves, where we played in Hammersmith, where actually Mambo Taxi played there as well. Like, you had them on the podcast as well, and I was like a massive Mambo Taxi fan. I used to go and see Mambo Taxi. They used to play at this club called the Sausage Machine, which was in Mornington Crescent, and Two Pure Records used to put on gigs there. Like I saw loads of like cool bands there, and like Williams, our guitar player, his next door neighbor was this guy called Hank, and he sung in Animals That Swim, a band called Animals That Swim.
I only know about them because you used to wear the T-shirt, which made me go and check out Animals That Swim. So I only know them because of you. But
But like there was some crossover between Mambo Taxi and like Animals That Swim. I think.
There was something.
Lainey played. I think Lainey played. It's Lainey, isn't it? Lainey.
Yeah.
She played bass, I think, or something in them for a while. But he basically. He really kind of helped us out in the early days when we were just like silly, stupid kids. He kind of said, if you can't do shows in venues, then, just do it yourself. Just do DIY, just book a venue, a hall, and play.
Wow.
So our first gig was like Hammersmith Broadway at a place that's gone now called the Emerald Centre, and we just booked that out and just invited all the kids from around the area. And Hank kind of upped as he was there with a bucket on the door, just collecting, you know, like just pay what you want, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that was basically how things started, and then we kind of started taking things a bit more seriously in like the sort of 95, because Wojtek was writing a lot of really good songs, and we just went with it. You know, we were just like, all right, well, let's just go. And we were kind of getting to that age where we were still like 17, but we could kind of, you know, we could get gigs in Camden and stuff like that. So we played for the whole of 95, just played gigs, and basically trying to get signed at that time. And so we spent like a year doing that. And then we were kind of aware of like other bands like Ash. You know, they were kind of like basically the same age as us. I think they were like a year older than us, and they were doing similar kind of thing. And we were like, all right, you know, this is, something's kind of going on, right? Like, so there was quite a lot of bands about back then that were, you know, like Ash. There was Idlewild came a little bit later. You know, Biss, Placebo, Feeder, like Silver Sun. There was loads of like really good bands at one point. It was kind of like after the Britpop thing had happened, there was this nice kind of little bit period of time where you could go to Camden and see like a bill with 3 bands on it that were just all great. Like, you know, you could go to the Falcon or to the Bull and Gate or to like Dublin Castle, wherever. And like when I think back to those days, you know, like I'm just really grateful that I was that age then, and kind of was able to play these venues like you know, and they're still there today. You know, you can still go back and do the same thing. Still go and see the, you know, bands that no one's, you know, that they're on the way up. And this, So.
It was interesting though that you say that. I wonder why. I mean, it sounds like you weren't part of a scene as such. It just happened to be that all of these bands with a similar kind of, you know, upbeat kind of poppy punky sound of young kids come out at the same time. I wonder why that is. It's
I think a lot of it is to do with like you know, we were kind of growing up at a time where the musical kind of landscape had changed. Like things had kind of like, I always think, you know, alternative music, it should stay. I mean, it's my personal opinion. I think it should stay kind of below the parapet, right? You have these little scenes around the UK. You have these little scenes around the US, wherever it is. So you think back to like pre kind of the grunge explosion. You know, you had bands like, you know, like that kind of music wasn't popular. Like people didn't. It weren't in the mainstream, was it?
It wasn't mainstream. Yeah.
So like, I mean, you had rock bands, you know, like, I mean, when I think back to the music I first got into, it was all quite mainstream stuff. It was like metal, or like Iron Maiden, or like Guns N' Roses, U2, Beastie Boys, like the Cult. I was a big Prince fan. So those are the kind of bands I kind of grew up with. But then, you know, like in that bit between kind of like I suppose it would have been like mid to late 80s. There were like a lot of bands back then that were doing stuff, but like it was all kind of under the radar. It was alternative, you know, like people who listen to that music were properly into it. So if you said you were into alternative music, or you were indie kid, you could see indie kids by just looking at what clothes they were wearing, or like How I Met Joe, you know, like what people had scrawled onto their bag. So like a lot of those bands, like, what is it? I don't know, I guess it's Grebo, Fraggle Rock, they call it Fraggle Rock band. You know, like Senseless Things, let's just say Senseless Things, right? You know, they were doing stuff similar time just before the grunge thing blew up.
And the Wonderstuff as well. They were going from the mid 80s, right? There was
Wonderstuff, Stone Roses, Happy Mondays, like Leatherface, Power of Dreams, EMF, I suppose, were quite mainstream at the time. But you know,
Yeah.
we were doing stuff then, and that's what we were influenced by
Mm.
before any of that grunge stuff happened, or even Britpop. But
Yeah.
it was just nice to see that how things changed. Things got pushed to the top. It's like
Yeah.
all of a sudden when Britpop came along, it was like, it was everywhere, man. And that really worked really well for bands like us, because before then you probably wouldn't get a look in, or maybe you'd put something out on like a really small label, but then all of a sudden it was like, and I think this is why you see that there was a lot of those kind of bands. Britpop happened, then there was a load of kids like us, basically our kind of age, that were influenced by all of that stuff. They were influenced by alternative American bands. They were influenced by Britpop, and it gave rise, I think, to a lot of those bands. I know for sure, like bands like, I mean, I can't speak for them, but definitely of that ilk. Like,
yeah. Also, I think maybe because like there was so much money in the music industry at that time because of those bands making it big. They were just, fuck it. It doesn't really matter. We can just chuck a bit of money at that band and see what happens, right? And they were just didn't matter, So they got a chance.
That's right. Yeah, a lot of bands got signed, because at that time there was a lot of money being spent in the music industry, and that kind of worked out pretty well for us. I mean, it got us signed, to like one of the best, I think, alternative record labels in the UK at that time.
Who were you signed to?
We were signed to Infectious Records.
Oh, that's right.
It was run by a guy called Corder Marshall, who he was just a fantastic label owner and mentor, really. Although at the time I didn't realize that. So I was quite young, and I guess kind of didn't realize it at the time. It's sort of in hindsight, I've sort of thought, oh yeah, I see where he was going with that, or But on that label there was there was Ash, the Wild Hearts were on the label.
Is that right?
Who else? Like the Wild Hearts, Ash, My Vitriol signed to them. Garbage were on they had like a sister label called Mushroom.
Okay.
And the really cool thing about Mushroom was it was part Australian owned. So like whenever you watch like Home and Away, any Home and Away episodes, it's full of all these all of the kind of infectious music on it.
Wow,
and there was
cool.
one episode once, and I can't find it to this day. I'd love to find it. So if anyone knows, like,
sure,
like reach out,
listeners.
But there's one bit where I can't remember his name, but he had like corkscrew hair. He was one of the dudes like in in Home and Away, and he was going to a gig, and they were like, oh yeah, like what gig are you going to? And they had him wearing like a Symposium t-shirt, and he's like, oh yeah, wow, I'm going to see Symposium at the Beach Hut later on. And I remember my mum just saying, my mum was like, oh, they mentioned you on Home and Away. I was like, oh,
you've made it. You've made it there.
We've hit the big time there, hey.
Yeah, so that's very cool.
I'd love to see it. It'd make a good little post on Insta, wouldn't it?
Yeah. You've talked quite a lot about, the fact that you were young, and you were. But I mean, did it piss you off that the press kind of really, really focused on the fact that you were young, or did you embrace it?
We were kind of bemused like by all of it, really, because
do you think it's because you looked so young? You did look very young, especially Will.
Yeah, Will looked pretty young. We used to have real problems. Like me and him we went to so many gigs like in the mid 90s, and we got turned away a lot.
Yeah,
we'd get to the door and they'd be like, no. And the worst one was we went to see Green Day were playing at the it was Green Day, and China Drum was supporting, and we kind of knew China Drum a little bit. And they supported Green Day at the Garage in Islington, which is quite a small venue. It's like, I think it holds like, and I remember we got there and they turned us away, and I was just like, oh man. But we were kind of bemused really by all of it, because at the end of the day we really kind of felt like we were sort of like, it's kind of weird that we were still trying to accept our place, really. We were like, we've been signed, we're doing gigs, we kind of believed in what we were doing, but we didn't really have a clear vision as to where we wanted to go, and that's because we were so young. And I think there's a naivety and there's a beauty in that, really. because it was honest. It wasn't, you know, none of it was. I just think it's an honest expression of like who we were at that point in time, for good or bad. I don't know, right?
Yeah,
But,
well,
you know,
very exciting. I'm we're all on the podcast. We're all pretty much. I think we're pretty much the same age as
I'm
Symposium
46.
were. Okay, I'm 47. So okay, there must be 6 months or whatever in it. So it felt exciting. It felt exciting for us because it was someone our age up on stage, you know, doing cool stuff. So it was exciting being the same age. Yeah.
I think that was a lot to do with the whole thing with Symposium, was that when we played gigs, most of the people who came to see us, they were the same age as us, you know?
Yeah.
So I always felt like I was in this band, but I was almost like, I always felt like I was almost, I could be anyone. I was part of the crowd, you know, like I was like the people that used to come and see us, we were kind of on the same, it felt like we were on the same level. I don't know.
Well, that's what punk's all about, right? You know?
Yeah. So and personally, you know, I really, really wanted to inspire other people that were the same age as us, you know, to say to other kids our age, you know what, you don't have to wait for anybody to tell you you can or can't do something. You can just go and do it. You know, you can start a fanzine, go and start a band, go and, but you know, if you can't get a gig, just book out somewhere and play a gig. Just do it. So I really wanted to inspire people of our age to go out and actually, that was the one thing I really, really, it's the only thing that really I wanted to do with that band, was just to inspire other kids our age to just go out and do it, you know, and just do stuff. And like, I just loved, like, in the early days of Symposium, that's what I really hold dear, you know. It's just like I always say to young bands, like if I ever meet them that are struggling or whatever, I just say, don't worry about don't think about success, just think about the creativity, think about what you're doing in this present moment. And if there's no scene for you to fit into, just make one yourself, just do it. Just like create it. You can do it, like, just create your own thing. And because that's where the memories are, like the memories are in that period of time, for me anyway, of putting on our own shows, making our fanzines, going around to like record stores, putting your poster in the window of stores and stuff like that. Like that, those are the things I kind of personally hold dear. And like,
I love that. That's, well, my love for Biss is well known on the podcast, but that's one reason why I like them. They had that exactly the same approach, right? That capturing the power of the teenager, doing it yourself, making the fanzines, connecting with other teenagers, and that's great to hear. Cool, it's cool.
Yeah, we played with Biss a couple of times actually.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. With, I think it was with Ash actually. Yeah, and I used to have a really cool Biss T-shirt. I mean, I probably outgrown it, but I lost it. But it was a blue one, and it was like, I don't know, it was like, it was blue, and it had like gold. It was a gold Biss one. I remember, because I remember they played Dingwalls in London, and I came down there with Dee, who is like she used to run a really cool fanzine, like Dee's Wild fanzine. And she was quite instrumental actually in that kind of scene, like interviewing a lot of those sort of bands, you know.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. So they say, so you said it didn't happen overnight, but you did get signed. You started getting a bit of press. Melody Maker put you on the front cover, declared you the best live band in Britain. I mean, how did that right? How did that feel?
Yeah, that was freaky. I mean, that was proper freaky, because like what happened there, right, was Everett True. He's the guy that wheeled on Kurt Cobain when he played Reading Festival. He wheeled him on, and he's he's pretty well known journalist. I mean, at the time I didn't know who he was, but I think it might have been Dee that introduced him to the band actually, from the fanzine. But he basically ended up coming. We had done like 3 shows together, and those 3 shows happened to be like the most like raucous shows I think we probably ever done. So we played in Chelmsford Y Club, and the place was packed out. We had the rock band A supported us there. and another
Ungoogleable.
band. Yeah, yeah. Good idea pre-internet, right? Because you could
Sure.
find this first ever. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, and yeah. So we played the show, and I ended up climbing into the roof of the venue while we climbed up on the PA, climbed into the roof with the cord, and
Yeah.
it was, I don't know what the roof was made of, but I kind of got midway through it and the whole thing collapsed. So the whole roof collapsed onto
Brilliant.
the crowd, and no one was hurt, thankfully, but there were bits of like, oh man, I don't even know what it was made of, but there were just bits everywhere.
Yeah.
And so everyone was throwing these bits of stuff all around. And it was a really good, it was one of those shows where I just say it was a true punk rock show. You know, it was like, I mean, anyone that was there will be able to tell you what it was like. It was great. It was sweat dripping off the walls. At the end of the show, I mean, I wouldn't do this now as a grown adult, because I suppose it's a bit disrespectful to our instruments, but we smashed up all of our instruments. So
Rock and roll.
Completely smashed everything up. And then we were like, oh, we had a gig then the next day.
Shit.
And we were like, we've got no instruments. So I think we borrowed A's kit back line. And I know we found that amusing.
Yeah.
And then we done another gig in Brighton, I think it was. And then we done another one in where was the other place? York, Fibbers, which is gone now. But that ended up as well very similar to that other gig. And then on the back of that, Everett True was like, oh my God, like I've just found the next, you know, I don't know.
Yeah. Nirvana. Yeah.
People kept saying, oh, you're like the Clash.
Right. Yeah. Well, you got to be happy with that.
Yeah. I mean, at the time that we weren't really that, we'd never really, I mean, I knew about the Clash. Remember, we were like 18.
Sure.
I'd heard of
I don't think I knew them when I was 18. Yeah.
No, I mean, I knew like London Calling and all that. And I know they were from West London as well. So, you know, but yeah, it was kind of only later on I started really listening to the Clash and stuff. I always listened to the Sex Pistols, and I always found Johnny Lydon he was quite influential to me as well. Like, I liked his, just the way he was on stage and stuff. And, you know, I like frontmen like that, you know, like that, a kind of slightly like unhinged, and they make you feel a little bit, you know, they keep you on your toes. You know, because when sort of people like him, I used to like Jella Biafra from the Dead Kennedys. I really used to like him. Who else? I mean, even Liam Gallagher's got it, you know, just that kind of kind of no, it's that, I think it's the unpredictability, you know, like I like frontmen who are unpredictable and just make an audience feel something.
Yeah, that's cool. But I mean, did it once you were given that tag, did it like put pressure on you to do like ever more outrageous like antics on the stage?
Yeah, we did get a bit of it was kind of a little bit of a, you know, that whole thing with the Melody Maker thing saying we were the best live band in Britain, it was like a curse and a blessing at the same time, you know, because it's like all of a sudden then, you know, venues were like, I remember when we went to America, like we went into the Whiskey A Go-Go, we were playing there, and the first thing that the guy said there goes, "You smash anything up in here, I'm gonna fucking break your face." And I was like, that's not gonna happen, don't worry. So it's like a lot of venues were like, you come to our venue and you smash that up or you do anything, you're gonna pay for it. And like, so there was a lot of that it became a little bit like, you know. So we kind of and we eased off from, you know, we had to tone it down basically, because it wasn't, the thing is it wasn't premeditated. It was just rock and roll. It's punk rock. It's like when I get on a stage, I'm not thinking about nothing. Like I just am. And sometimes you'll do things like I'll do a show and I'll be like, why did I do that? Why did I climb up that lighting rig and you know, spring from it? Or why did I don't know.
Right. But I mean,
it's just rock and roll, right? So it's like,
yeah. But did you think you need a certain confidence to be able to do that? Or like, did you train yourself to do it?
It's the other way around with me. So it's like I used to feel really really I used to have that weird feeling where I actually not that, I never felt that confident, but I did have something in me that said, when you go on stage, just switch off, don't think, and just do. And that always worked for me. It always worked, because it's like, before the gig, I would always be a bit anxious, nervous kind of energy, and just get on stage, and I'd have to switch off. The moment I start thinking, it all goes wrong.
Wow. Yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah.
But it's almost like once I get to the second song, 2 or 3 songs in, I'm like, oh, it's okay.
Yeah.
Like, everyone's here.
Yeah.
Like, especially when we do our own shows, it's like, oh, everyone's here to see us. It's all right.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah. Of course.
Down.
Of course. Well, I saw you at the Fleece and Firkin in Bristol in, I want to say,
great
97, maybe.
That would have been with A, and that would have been with an Australian band called UMI.
Oh man, that's exactly it. Yeah, good memory.
We played that. I mean, we played there a good few times, actually.
No, it was definitely with UMI and A, 100%. Yeah.
We played there with
Go on.
No, we played it with Three Colors Red. We played there.
Oh wow, amazing.
That was our first tour, and that was like a baptism of fire.
Yeah,
for us.
Yeah.
They taught us. They kind of took us under their wing and taught us about rock and roll, for sure.
Oh, brilliant! That would have been a great set.
We were going to go on another tour with their kind of brothers, like with the Wild Hearts, like, because Chris's brother was in the Wild Hearts. He used to play guitar, and we were like, oh yeah, we're going to tour with Wild Hearts next. And the label and our manager kind of just stepped in. I think this is one of the most responsible things they ever done. They were like, you're not going out with the Wild Hearts. Like, after this Three Colors Red one, nah, you're not going out with them, because you just won't come back the same. Yeah. Sure. So, but yeah, sorry to bring you back.
No, it's great.
Your gig, please.
Oh no, it was an amazing gig, and I remember it really well. Getting, like, again, going back to, like you said before, like interacting with the audience, being part of the audience on the same level as the audience. You're getting people up on stage to sing. Most of the crowd got up on the stage at the end, and it was amazing. I don't think I'd been to another gig like it around that time, definitely. And yeah, I mean, is there a secret to that kind of, getting the crowd to whipping the crowd up into a frenzy like that? Is there a trick or a secret to it?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, I just think when you're performing, it's like my whole thing with it is that it has to be honest. You have to, like what I was saying earlier on about not thinking. You have to be to give a good performance. You have to be present. You have to be there in that moment, and you have to be unashamed of how you're presenting yourself. Because and I think when you do that, the people just warm to you naturally. People are like, oh, great, I can relax a bit as well, And I think when people all relax, and when you've got like that kind of communal feeling of oneness and togetherness, we're all, I mean, it sounds like a bit hippie, but like you're all kind of on the same frequency. We're all together doing the same thing. Any kind of show you go to, when you come out and you just feel great from it, it's a shared experience you've had with a group of people you don't know that are all into the same thing, and just having a good time. Like, how many times in your life can you do that? Can you just switch off and be yourself and say, look, this is me, and I don't care how stupid I look. This is it. Now, this is what I'm doing. This is me now.
Yeah, I love it. It was great gig. Great gig anyway. It was a memorable one for me. And you toured, you said you toured with A and everything, but you toured with some really fucking massive, big, famous bands as well, right? Or supported, at least.
Oh yeah.
Can you take us through a few of the big ones?
The first big gig we ever had was with the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and that was at Wembley Arena, which was like probably one of the most surreal moments for me in my life ever. And even to this day, I still think, actually, I mean, there's two. There's
Yeah.
that, and Metallica. I'll come on to Metallica later, but the three colors, the Red Hot Chili Peppers gig was a really good one because we shared a dressing room with No Doubt.
Wow.
The band No Doubt with Gwen and Co.
Yeah.
And this was
Symposium had a bit of a ska punk sound to a few of their songs as well, right? Was there a No Doubt influence?
No, there was with no influence from No Doubt. I mean, I think with the ska punk thing, it was more like coming from that kind of skate.
Like No FX and all that, right?
Yeah, there was two songs.
Okay.
Actually, we did. Yeah, come to think of it, we did have a couple of ska. I mean, we had two ska songs, on the albums, but we had some others that I don't think we never really recorded. We kind of shelved them, but like, yeah, we were shared a dressing room with them. Wow. And this is before they got really famous. Like no one knew who they were and stuff. So yeah, we got on really well with them, and we were like, oh, if you play the UK, we should hook up again. Not knowing that they're going to be like massive, basically.
Sure.
I was like, yeah, Gwen, you can support us if you want. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Sort you out down Dingwalls.
Yeah. We played the Dublin Castle. I mean, I'm joking, obviously, but we got on really well with them. We swapped numbers, and we were like, next time you're in town, let's do this. And then they got really big, and then they were like, yeah. So we played with them as well when they played London, and unfortunately, I had a bit of a mishap at that gig and broke my leg, which wasn't too good. But
how'd you manage that?
I just slipped like on the stage. There was like I think someone had thrown a bottle, and there was a bit of something spilt. I mean, I'd like to say I was doing jumping off a speaker stack or something like that,
right.
which I have done.
Yeah.
I've done that plenty of times, and I've been completely fine. And like the one time I broke my leg was just like just tripped a bit on stage. But like the Red Hot Chili Peppers one was really good because I didn't really talk to any of them apart from Flea and the drummer guy. But I tell you a really interesting indie fact, right?
Come on. That's what we like on the podcast.
Fact. This is a mad fact. And I still to this day, I don't know. I don't know how, I still can't believe it, right? But it needs to be validated, right? So don't quote me fully. But before we were going on stage, I used to do a lot of mixtapes. We'd put on the mixtape and, we'd all get hyped up for we're going to go on, right? And one of the tunes was Fool's Gold, right, by Stone Roses. And Flea comes into the dressing room and he's like, hey, I wrote that. And we kind of laughed. We laughed at him, basically. We were like, yeah. All right. And that was that. I forgot about that for years. I just thought it was one of them things, yeah? And then, like, in the last couple of years, it came to my mind and I was like, yeah, I remember. I started Googling, right?
Yeah.
And there was a band called the Young MCs. I mean, you might know about them if you know hip hop and stuff. Yeah. But they had a track in 1989 where Flea he basically played bass. He came on to play bass for the tracks, but he was never credited for them. He wasn't credited. He was paid like a one-off fee of like $100 each for the two tracks. One of the tracks was "Bust a Move," which became a big hit for that band or hip hop band, right? The second one is a song called "Know How." And if you listen to that song, 49 seconds in, it's Fool's Gold on bass.
Unbelievable.
So my thing was like, did Flea, he might have kicked off that.
I think he did.
Stone Roses thing.
Yeah, that is a very good indie fact. That's amazing. I believe him.
Well, you can hear it. Like when you hear it, you can tell it's Flea playing it. And I did do a bit of a search for Manny quoted the Young MCs as being like influential.
There you go. It's there. There it is.
I think that's incredible.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah.
But I mean, I guess what we need to do is get Flea on the podcast and
that's
get it confirmed.
We'll have to do it. All right. Well, I'll be on the blower after this. Yeah.
But yeah, so we played with the Foo Fighters as well. We done the Color and the Shape tour, and that was amazing. That was properly good. And
is Dave as nice as everyone says?
He's a lovely man. Yeah, yeah. But I
Yeah.
tell you who I really what I do normally when I play with bands, any band, the first member I always speak to is the drummer. Like I always speak to the drummer first because I always find the drummers are the friendliest.
Sure.
You know, they're the kind of ones that will, if you speak to the drummer and then the drummer says, yeah, he's not a knob, the rest of the band will tend to talk to you.
Right.
And so Taylor, when God rest his soul, when he was alive, I spent most time with him. And he would play football with us, and and then Dave would come in then and play football with us, and then it was like, so we got into like a little bit of a level with them, but I didn't want to overstep the mark with them because ultimately Dave is basically massive hero of mine basically.
Sure.
I remember there was one night where I was walking past the dressing room after one show, and Dave called me in. He was like, "Hey, Ross." I was like, "Oh, he knows my name." I was like, came in. He's like, "Yeah, how you doing?" And he's like, "Do you want some food?" Like, and they were just chowing down like some pasta. So just sat there with him and Taylor for a while, and we were just talking. And I remember him complaining basically about rock wounds and feeling like really like just knackered basically. He was sort of saying, "Oh, when we get into our 50s, I'm going to be like fucking Ozzy Osbourne," like, and I'm there just like, cow. And then it kind of got a bit, I remember feeling like this is so surreal. I'm sat here with Dave and just talking on the level, and I kind of had to make my excuses and leave the room. So it's like, oh, I better help with the gear and shit. Like, I'll see you later.
Yeah, I can understand that though. Yeah.
Yeah, but that gig came around because William, our guitar player, was on his way to. We were all Irish, right? So like my parents are Irish, Will's parents are Irish, and he was on his way back home, and he actually met the Foo Fighters. Were in the airport in Ireland. I don't know what they were doing, but they were all outside like Burger King, sitting on the floor eating food, and Will saw them, and he was like, he just started talking to them, and he was like, oh. We had a mutual friend. There was a guy called Anton Brooks, who is one of the best people I ever met in the music industry. He was like a promotions guy. He used to do like promo for basically a lot of bands. And we had a mutual contact. And we was like, oh, Anton Brooks. And they were like, oh, Anton, yeah. And then so that's kind of how that link happened, because then Anton told Dave, you should get these guys on because, they're quite, well, apparently we're the best live band in Britain at the time.
Best live band in Britain. Simple as that. Yeah.
So
wow, that's really cool.
And also Everett True, he knew Everett True, so that got us on the bill basically.
Oh, of course, from there. This Seattle thing. Yeah. How about Metallica then?
So yeah, that was really, really weird because that was amazing. I don't even know how we got on that bill. I have no idea how we ended up on that bill, because at the time we were basically kind of splitting up. Like, it was like the end of '99, and things weren't going well for the band in general. And then someone said, "You've got this gig. Like, we got you this gig with Metallica," and we were just like, "Oh, really?" We're an indie pop punk band. Like, we're gonna get annihilated at this. But hell yeah, Metallica. This only comes around. This is a once in a lifetime thing.
Sure.
So that's the only gig where I properly was worried. Like, we went on to Milton Keynes. Bear in mind, the band before us was Queens of the Stone Age, right? So they played, and then it was us.
Yeah.
But this is before they were famous, so like no one had heard of them.
Oh wow.
And we watched them, and we were like, they're awesome. They're really good. And then we kind of went on and just played the most rocking set we could. And we actually went down all right. Like, I don't know if we were fine,
Yeah, of course.
So that was, and then the after bit was insane. Like, that was fully nuts. Terrorvision were there as well, actually. So we kind of knew them. They played. And I remember there was this pyramid of like Jägermeister. And we'd never heard of Jägermeister before, but we found out about it that night for sure.
Yeah. Did you get to meet any of Metallica? No.
I saw them, but I was too scared to speak to them. I tell you who I hung out with was I hung out with Brian Molko.
Oh wow.
And
Placebo.
Brian was there. the television lads were there. So we kind of stuck together because we were like the Brits, and then the rest of them were like like Marilyn Manson was like walking around and stuff, and like
Wow.
I don't know, like these other I don't even know, man. Like, yeah,
That's pretty cool though. That's pretty cool. Yeah, yeah. Was that your biggest
yeah.
ever audience, I guess? Milton Keynes Bowl. Well, I saw Guns N' Roses there in whatever, 92, 93. It's a huge place, right?
It's massive. I mean, it is big. It's a big old place. So yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I don't know if that was our biggest crowd. Like we played Glastonbury, we played
All
Reading
right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Festival. The Glasgow crowd was pretty big, and that was quite a memorable show because it was the year when it was all raining. I think it was
Mm.
97 or something. I mean, it rains always at Glastonbury, but
Yeah.
right, it was that was the year when it was raining and like there was a big mud fight and everyone was throwing mud at the stage.
Yeah.
And Michael Eavis had to come on afterwards and tell everyone to stop throwing mud. And that was funny.
Yeah. Oh man.
But yeah, we've done a bit in the US as well on the Warped Tour. So we played with
Yeah. How was that?
bands.
How did you go down
Yeah,
with the American audiences?
it was a weird one, like because it was like a really long. I mean, from my experience was amazing. Like I was like, oh, I'm basically in heaven right now because it's punk rock music every day. It's barbecues every day. It's skateboarding every day.
Sure.
And playing with all these kind of, you know, punk rock legends like Bad Religion and No Effects and Rancid. But we went on the actually Deftones were on that bill as well. And that's when they were kind of blowing up as well. Like, you know, things were starting to kick off for them. So that was all quite interesting. And the only English band that were on the tour were the Specials, so we kind of hung out with them a bit.
Oh wow.
And I've got some nice memories of that. And yeah, we were on this like bus, which is like it was literally a bus, and it folded out into a stage, and it was us and a load of punk rock bands that no one had. It was basically the kind of we felt a little bit like we were you had the main bands, and then you had all of us lot that were stuck on this like really smelly bus.
Sure.
So we felt a bit sidelined, but it didn't matter because it was like where you'd go on at like 12 and then spend the rest of the day, you know, doing what you want.
Wow.
So yeah, but you know, it was funny. It was Kid Rock was on our bus. Like
my God,
he was on it. So and they were all actually quite nice. But it's just funny thinking back, you know, that you know he was actually there. He was in the vicinity, like, and it was when they had the other chap, the small chap. I think he's passed away now, isn't he? The Kid Rock. It was one of the members.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. But they were all nice. Everybody was nice, and it was just a great experience. Really, like yeah. But it was a little bit transformational for our band because we kind of saw ourselves as an indie punk pop band. Really, that's what we were. And then on that tour, we started to get influenced a little bit by some of the other bands on that tour. So like Will and Joe were really influenced by Deftones. So William started to write some really kind of like heavy riffs, which were a little bit different from what we were doing previously. And so that contributed then to the kind of second album that we done. So when you listen to that record, it's all over the place, and that's because we didn't really know what we were doing or kind of what musical vision we had.
Well, I read that the band split up due to musical differences. Is that true?
There's just all sorts of reasons why. I mean, it was like, I mean, it really was just like being with Symposium. I think it was like 5 years. It was like being on a stag do for 5 years. That's why I put it down. So like, by the end of it, we were all just completely exhausted. Number one. Two, we didn't really have a clear view of where we were going musically. Half of the band were like, "Oh, we're indie punk pop band," but then the other side of us was like, you know, maybe we should change our sound and like go for this kind of more kind of like kind of post punk rock sound. Yeah. But so we were just completely, I guess it's our age, maybe. We weren't sure really of where we wanted to go.
Yeah, I guess you're still only like 22, 23, right? Even at that time.
No, we were younger than that. We were
wow.
younger. Oh well, no. I think when we broke up, I think yeah, you're right actually. Yeah, about 22. Yeah, 21.
Yeah,
22.
Yeah, it's nothing, is it?
Yeah.
If you think about it.
So that happened, and then like the label. It's funny because when we were in America, we were signed to a label out there called Red Ant Records, and they were a great little label. But I don't know. I don't think this contributed to them actually going into liquidation. But when we were out there, we basically there was a guy from the record label who was like a really nice A&R guy, and he rather foolishly came out with the company credit card. So we basically, after we'd done the Warped Tour, it was like, oh, we had an audience. It was like there were people to see us. But then we started playing on our own in venues across America where there was just no one there. Like no one was coming to see us. And like some of the biggest gigs were ones where it was like a local band playing, and like the place would be packed, and we're like, oh, at last, there's someone here to see us, and like the support band would play, and everyone would just leave, and then we'd just be playing on our own. And so, but this guy came with us. We kind of basically, he was only meant to come for one show, and we just kept him on the bus for like the whole week, and just rinsed the credit card on just on I don't know how much debt we wrapped up, but we spent a fair amount on it. And then he went home, and then pretty shortly after that, the label. I mean, it definitely wasn't because of us, but like the label folded, so we didn't have an American label. And then when we got back to the UK. Infectious was basically, they were doing a deal where it was merging with another label, like a corporate major label. And then at the time, our management sort of suggested that it's best that we walk away and just get another deal. I personally didn't want to. I wanted to stay with Infectious because I liked the label. I liked all the bands on it. I really respected Quarter Marshall, and I really liked their kind of ethos really at the time. But yeah, we did. But anyway, so that was it. And then once that happened, everything kind of went to pot really. Like I got he went to university because we're still pretty young.
Yeah,
went to uni. Then on, I think it was New Year's Day, Will called me and just said, "Oh, Wojtek's quit." Like he said he just can't do it anymore.
Wow.
Which was kind of heartbreaking, really. Like I was like, I kind of put that band together, and it was it was kind of, I felt like it really was, even though I wasn't the chief songwriter or anything, it was my kind of, I had a lot invested into it emotionally. I invested a lot into it, and because we're so young, I kind of left school. I didn't really have many qualifications. I didn't have a B plan, so I was a bit like, when it ended, it took a while to get my head around that and come back. So that happened. George left, and then Will and Joe started Hell Is for Heroes, which was an amazing. They done
great band.
Their first record is amazing. It's produced by the guy that done Refused, and it's a landmark album. Really, it's a classic. It
a lot of the tracks, that whole kind of scene, right, of kind of early 2000s, kind of UK kind of post-hardcore stuff, which I thought was really cool. Yeah. And a lot of those riffs that were on that album, well, two of them definitely were like ones that were contenders for Symposium songs. So like Will was writing all these amazing riffs, and I was like, mate, you're on something here. This is properly, this is properly good. This could go somewhere. But they took it their way, which is, great. And you had your own band for a while, is that right?
Well, when the band split up, I mean, number one, I was bereaved, mate, basically from it for a couple of years. I was like, I just don't feel like I can even do anything. I just was like, don't care about the music industry. I can't deal with it anymore. There was no mental health just wasn't on the agenda back then. There wasn't really any support for, it just wasn't a thing. It's a lot better now, I think, for younger bands and stuff. That, sort of these sort of things. There's a lot more support out there. But anyway, at the time, so I'm not playing like the fiddle here, the sort of
no,
violin here.
No,
things
it's
were
completely
fine.
valid. Of course.
Things were fine. I had a job. I was ticking along. Everything was great. But I did feel like there was a piece of me missing. I was like, I miss rock and roll. This is what I want to do. So I eventually did get a band together called Paper Cuts, and that was like a sort of I don't know. I suppose the best way to describe it was noisy kind of post-punk. So we were kind of influenced by bands like Mission of Burma. I suppose a lot of those American bands. Trying to think, who else did we used to really like at the time? It was like Fire. Do you know Firehose? Mission of Burma, Minutemen, Replacements, all that kind of stuff. I kind of liked at the time. And we recorded an album. We used to play Art Rocker quite a lot, and like the guys used to put on Art Rocker, they used to do the Sausage Machine Club, so we kind of knew them a bit. So that's Paul and Paul Cox and Richard Roberts, I think. But yeah, it was just like I was just doing it for fun again, and so I was just doing the same thing I was doing previous years, which was putting flyers in the windows,
right?
Just playing small venues, and it was just the best thing ever, and it was really good for me to do that. And we released one EP on vinyl, and that was it. And then and that was it. And then we finished. We all kind of went our separate ways and just done other stuff. I ran a record, a web, I would call it a webzine for a while, where I was interviewing lots of different bands, and
done
a podcast called the Contrast Podcast. I used to contribute to that a lot, but that's probably defunct now. But I used to sort of had like a bit of a community of people there, where I used to do things. And then one thing I forgot to mention was I done a kind of a solo album as well, which again never got released. There's a theme here, like almost none of it gets released.
It's never too late.
Yeah, I don't know if that's no good or what, but like I did do something with two girls. They're called Puka, and they were based in Sharon was in Brighton, and I'd done some songs with them, and actually one of the songs got sampled by what's that band called? Oh God, I can't remember what they're called now. Some dance band sampled one of the tunes anyway. I can't remember what they're called off the top of my head. But I done that, and I played a sold out. Actually, this is something I'm proud of. Is I played a sold out gig in Vendôme in France on my own with them, just with a guitar. And I never considered myself really to be a very good guitar player, but I kind of forced myself to do it. And there's some footage on YouTube of that gig, and like that's something, things like that. They're the things that I remember and that I hold dear, really.
And Symposium did get back together, right, in 2022.
A couple of years back.
What prompted that after all that time?
I know, right? So basically cooking vinyl records, or actually no, there was a fan who started a Facebook page, and he was like, we've got to get Symposium back together, get them doing gigs. And for years it was running, and then we were just like no, it's never going to happen. And then he just kept on and on and on and on, and eventually his persistence paid off, basically, because Cooking Vinyl Records approached us, and they were like, it seems like there are people that want to hear it, still hear you lot, and you're not on Spotify, or you're not on any of the streaming platforms. All your vinyl, there's no vinyl in the stores or anything. So they basically said, you want to reissue all your stuff. So we ended up licensing everything to them for like 10 years. So off the back of that, then they were like, do you want to do a gig? And then we were like, well, will anyone come and see us? Like, I don't know. And it kind of takes a lot for us all to get together and do a gig, because we've got to rehearse. And Hagop is based in San Francisco. He's he's like a really, do you know what? He's doing quite well. He's like
Do
a
you know what?
DJ
Just
now.
yesterday I was record shopping and I came across a copy of his album just yesterday. And I
Yeah.
thought, oh, fuck, I've got to pick it up. I'm speaking to Ross tomorrow. It's just in my brain, right? So I just had no choice but to pick it up. It's really good. It's really good. Kind of
Yeah.
ambient. It's got some nice yeah, it's a great album. It's a great album. Anyway, sorry, go on.
Yeah, it's a bit like field music. Is like he
Yeah,
sort of
yeah,
samples a lot of stuff from Armenia because his family
yeah,
are from Armenia, and
yeah,
so a lot of it, I think a lot of that record is, I think it's got a lot of that Armenian influence in there for sure. Like some of the,
yeah,
something, and he was always been doing music like that. Even in Symposium days, he just played stuff. But I really respected always what he was doing with the that side of things. But he kind of went on to that, like Hot Chip named a song after him, their first record
right.
called
Yes,
Chapari.
yes.
And he's working with Fortet. He's really
That's
good
right.
friends with
Yes,
Fortet.
yes, yes.
So
That's
anyway,
what it reminds me of. Yeah, it's got a very full tech sound to it. Yeah. Anyway.
yeah, I don't know if it was released on his label or what, but anyway, he's
Mm.
mates with him. But he's in San Francisco, so it's like, now how are we going to do
Wow.
this? And but we got back together and we just rehearsed loads basically, and it was brilliant. We were just all meeting up together. Haggot was able to come for a few rehearsals, and it just clicked. It was like, it's like weird because we all forgot like what it was like playing
Mm.
together, and there is a weird sort of, no one can put their finger on it, but there's this weird connection we all have. Maybe it's because we've known each other for so long, I don't know, but when we play and we lock in, it's like this weird, there's magic there, like
Yeah.
it exists. It's like this weird thing that you just feel it. I mean, maybe
Yeah.
it's well, we know that from just playing together, we know that. So yeah, and then we done the show, we played Islington Academy, and it was like,
I saw some videos of it online. It looked amazing. I was happy to see you still crowd surfing and throwing yourself around and all that good stuff.
I know, I was like, oh, maybe I'm too old for this stuff, but I was like, I was
No.
like, there was plenty of other people the same age as me in the crowd. It's weird because it's like a Symposium gig with people in the crowd that we knew when we were like 18, 20, they were all there.
Yeah,
So we done that, and then we played the next year. Then we done the same thing. We played the Electric Ballroom, which was sold out, and then we played in Manchester.
Okay,
yeah,
that's great. Anything else coming up, or any more to come out of the vaults? I saw you release like was it B? Not a B-side, but like
we done a B-side album. Yeah,
a B-side. Yeah, yeah.
We released the B-side album. And now, like in the last last sort of year, I've got a new band together called Big Spin.
Ooh. Tell us more.
Yeah, so the Big Spin is like, it's basically a solo project of mine. Where it's kind of, I wanted it to be rather than a solo project, just like a band basically. So there's a couple of people I know based around the Hertfordshire area that I kind of started a band with. So Joe, he plays guitar. He was in a band called Echo Lake, and Emergency Radio was this last band. But he's an amazing guitar player. So what I do basically is put all my songs into a folder that just with me playing the structure and the guitar and singing and stuff. And then I just give it to Joe and I just say, do what you want with it. Like, it's your song, change it, mess it up, do whatever you want. So it's quite collaborative in that way, where I'll give him the bones of it, and then he'll put his own spin on it, kind of thing, or like he might change things here and there, and then I'll add more vocals or whatever. So yeah, so cool. There's Joe, and then there is a guy called Chris, who's he was in a band called Frog Stupid with Rosie, who is going to be playing bass for us as well. Okay. And Rosie's in another band called River Bodies, who are a bit like Jawbox or something.
Ooh,
but they're really cool. But it's funny because everyone's in, basically I'm like the side project of their, but they're all
right.
And they're like, and so like, yeah. So but they're kind of helping me. They're like, oh, Rossi needs help, so we'll get together. So we're going to do some gigs and stuff, and
cool.
I'll hopefully get the record out.
Yeah,
I'm really proud of the record. It's like it's kind of I would say it's like a coming of age album. You know, like I really wanted to make an alt rock, like indie album that kind of timestamps this kind of period in my life. Like the album is inspired really by like a lot of the kind of emotional feelings I had attached to kind of Symposium, and just kind of remembering what I used to kind of do and how I used to feel and stuff like that. So it's like the record covers like a wide range of topics and themes from the past, the present, the future. And
that's already recorded.
Like, yeah. I sent a
brilliant.
track to Neil. I sent a track to Neil.
Oh, really? Oh,
I'll
interrogate him. I will.
Yeah,
I will
have a listen. But yeah, I'm really into psychogeography as well. So like a lot of so psychogeography is like thinking about you know, and noticing the experiences of place.
Sure.
So a lot of the record is about London, and like a lot of it I wrote while I was walking around London and go into those kind of places where I have like an emotional kind of attachment. So you know, a lot of places aren't there anymore, or like there's certain venues that have gone, they're not there, or there are certain pubs that just are still there, and they kind of bring back memories from different things in my life. So and I'm really pleased to kind of get it all into the lyrics and into the album. Like I wanted it to be some of the songs to be really like a West London record. So a bit like how you have, you know, Modern Life is Rubbish,
sure,
like the Blur album. A little bit like that. I kind of wanted it to be a bit like that, but make it more kind of alt rock. So I really like bands like Big Star and The Replacements and all of those kind of left of the dial bands.
Sounds amazing.
But like
Sounds
Bruce
great.
Springsteen, but like an English indie version.
Can't wait to hear it. I will. All right. Well, before you go then, if you've listened to the podcast, you'll know what's coming. We ask every band member the same question. Which other band from that era would you have liked to have been in, and why?
Oh, well, I mean, if it was going to be a dance band, I would have said The Prodigy. Like, I would have been Keith.
Nice. That's a good answer.
And I think the Prodigy are a great band because they just cross over. You know, there's so many musical styles in what they do. They're not restricted to one audience. You know, they're global. They're like, you can be into any kind of music and like The Prodigy. And like, if you've seen them live, they're amazing, right? What's funny is you know, I've seen them loads of times over the years, but what's funny is that the guy that was managing or he manages Symposium, he works with them. Like he does like I think he done like merch or something for them, or like he's got something to do with them. I can't remember exactly now, but when they were getting back together, I said to him, mate, you know, if they need a hype man, they need someone to just get in that audience, you know, shake things up a bit.
Hey,
just call me.
Yeah.
He thinks I'm joking. I'm like, I'm not joking here. I said, I'll do it for free. You don't even have to pay me.
Yeah.
I was like, nobody can replace Keith.
No.
Yeah, but I was like, but if they do need someone,
hey, it's a great answer.
And that offer still stands.
Yeah, okay, if you're listening.
And if as well, if it was an indie band, it would be Michael Stipe.
Oh, okay. REM. What period are we talking? Controversy on the podcast on the best period of REM.
I always like Life's a Rich Pageant?
Yeah.
I like that period of time with Document, Life's a Rich Pageant. I like that era of time. But when that album, what's the big one called? Automatic
Out of
People
Time
came out.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That really was that point in time when I was, you know, a teenager, and I just hold that record really dear. And like, I love Michael Stipe's persona, like the way I just like the way he sings, and I like this weird sort of, I don't know how to put it. He's got this weird kind of I don't even know how to describe it really, but it's just like when I hear Michael Stipe, I don't know, it's like someone saying it's all right. It's okay.
Right.
Like that's how he makes me feel. It's like a little blanket for me. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
I know
That's
some
well,
people don't like Orion, but some people
well,
don't like his voice and stuff.
Automatic for the people is
Uh,
acceptable. But yeah, that's fine. That's
yeah, and he was a big influence.
accepted.
He was a big influence on me. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Yeah.
Singing
Good
wise.
answers. All right. You said that there's an active Facebook page and Instagram and everything, right? If people want to,
yeah,
keep
we
up
are
with
on Instagram. Symposium's on Instagram, and Big Spin are on
Yes.
Instagram. Like,
Cool.
yeah. So please, follow us on there. I mean, maybe the record won't come out. Maybe I'll record it.
Well, let's manifest it. Let's make it happen. If we talk about it, it's going to have to come out. We're going to manifest it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I need to get it put out on a label, or maybe I'll just put it out myself.
Stick it up on Bandcamp. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. And then, I mean, there's loads of stuff I've got going on, but God knows. Well, who knows?
Well,
yeah.
We'll see. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. I'm going to stop the recording. Don't escape just yet.
Thanks, Nick.
So there we go. Good interview, Luke, as always. Dave, did you find Ross's job interesting?
Yeah, Luke promised to return to the subject later in the interview and never did. Don't know what kind of databases, what kind of system it was.
I can put you in touch with him later. You can have a
Yeah.
one-to-one, maybe. Is he a rival? Would you say he's a rival?
No, it sounds like, he's more of a system manager type. I'm more of a software engineer.
Is that lower?
We might work together, but we wouldn't be working on the same thing.
It could be a collaboration in the future.
I'd like to see that. Maybe you can make an app together.
Yeah.
You're always obsessing over making apps, so maybe Ross would like to make an app.
I want to make a Stupid and Contagious app, but I don't know what to put in it.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Okay. Listeners, ideas on the back of a postcard.
Yeah. Would you download the app? Let's do it.
Yeah. All right. What would you do? I should like when I first came onto the Zoom call, it was I was really taken aback because he revealed that he was a fan of the podcast. And
I don't know why you're always so surprised.
Of course I am. He said he's been listening since the start, which it just kind of threw me off.
Really?
Threw me off. Yeah.
Are you surprised? Yeah. Why is everyone surprised?
I know, but I know he can't have been. He can't have been listening from the start, because otherwise he would not have talked about "Life's a Rich Pageant" by REM without any kind of.
Without any kind of missed that episode.
You might have missed that one. Yeah.
Or maybe he was like toying with us.
Yeah.
He could have been toying with us.
Yeah.
We've got quite a few of these bands active in the Facebook group now. Don't be so surprised.
Oh no, I'm well. I love it. It's an honor.
No, we are.
It's just surprised.
Yeah, same. I think we're all quite surprised by. Well, not surprised, but pleased.
But yeah, I mean, it's
surprised.
I mean, some of the people you've interviewed are probably people he knows personally, so he's bound to be more interested than the average person.
I guess.
Probably right.
Yeah.
As with a lot of the bands, I guess they all sort of know there's a bit of a family tree going on, isn't there? It's quite nice.
Yeah. We're uncovering it. We're like archaeologists, basically, aren't we?
Could put that in the app.
Oh, make like the tree.
Another band that bonded over sort of skating and band logos and stuff. I like that. A bit like the Jesus Jones thing.
Yeah. And I mean, I think there's a lot of people that first got into music through skate videos.
It appears so. I like that skater punk, all that kind of scene.
I like it when he said that he wanted to do, in terms of like stage presence and stuff, he wanted to do what Minor Threat were doing, but do it in the UK. I loved hearing that kind of stuff, man.
Yeah, he seemed to cite quite a few bands that you've mentioned as well. So
yes, it's great.
I'm not getting too political. Well, maybe I am, but he talked about how when the band come together, they just used to play. They used to go down the local youth club and just play the instruments. Youth clubs.
In what way is that political?
Well, they've all gone, haven't they? The youth clubs have all gone. Money's been ripped out of communities. And stuff like that's important, right? Like they just went down there and jammed. That's fun. Do you remember Elm Court Youth Club?
Yeah, did you go there?
I went there a few times.
I went every week.
Yeah, it was all right, wasn't it? I just remember pot noodles for some reason. I don't know why.
They had Wonder Boy video game.
They did have Wonder Boy. I remember that. Yeah. Pool competitions.
And those discos, man. Unforgettable.
Oh, I never went to one of those.
What? Really?
I only went, I literally must have gone about twice. So this whole thing about youth clubs being really important, I never went.
Well,
but I had the option.
Yeah.
The option was there. I had other stuff to do. I was playing some beauty and stuff.
Exactly.
There was stuff going on. Dave, was there one in Alfriston?
I went to the Alfriston one.
Oh, was it?
It was good. It was good. Start with a game of footy on the tie, and then into the hole for games of pool and darts and whatnot.
Yeah.
Sounds
youth clubs
similar.
were good. Yeah.
Yeah, but like, all I'm saying is they were, it's nice that that's where the band sort of got together and just used to hang out and play. I used to play Minor Threat, they said. Imagine that, Symposium playing Minor Threat.
Oh, they did covers, weren't they?
Yeah.
Dream.
Yeah.
But that was good. Like to see.
They used to do a cover of A Hard Day's Night. That was their famous one. And it was brilliant. Yeah.
It was good, yeah. Riot Girl got mentioned. Mambo Taxi.
Yes.
He's a big fan of Mambo Taxi. Which is not, again, the tree. Family tree.
Together.
That whole Camden scene sounded like it was pretty idyllic back in the day, didn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. And he also talked about the explosion of teenage bands, right? Which is really interesting. Yeah, I mean, them, Biss, he said, Feeder, Ash, Silver Sun, everyone was like 18, 19. It's amazing.
Well, Noel was notoriously already an old man, wasn't he, when Oasis sort of got big?
He was like 28,
really, was it?
He was in his late 20s, which is
28.
Old
That seemed really old.
Yeah.
I remember
like
feeling
old man.
I remember feeling a bit like I was a bit of a pervert for fancying Catherine Zeta-Jones because she was 29.
Noel Gallagher, which is fine.
Well, I was thinking about it, harking back to last week's episode in Surfing USM, the Red Dwarf sample. He's talking about he said when you turn 23, 24 and your knees. What? Wait, 23, 24. What the fuck are you talking about?
Suddenly you're a fat bastard.
Exactly. It's like 20. I said, am I mishearing it? It's like 23, 24.
In the old days, people aged quicker, didn't they?
They did.
Well, people only used to live till they were sort of 40s, 50s back in the day, didn't they?
Well, that was a very long time ago, 40 or 50. Hundreds of years.
Do you remember?
ago.
You remember Fred Dibner? Steeplejack Fred.
Yeah, he was a crazy steeplejack. He used to climb up things with just like a rickety ladder.
And he was probably about 35, but he looked about 70.
Well, look at Steve Martin back. He looked about 70 back when he was 30. Back in the 80s. If you look at him now, he looks the same. Don't know what point we're trying to make there. But...
No.
Oh, I was really trying to find out what home and away character it would have been sporting his T-shirt.
Yeah.
And I come up with Travis Nash. Do you remember him?
I remember Travis Nash. I do remember him.
I think it could have been him.
He was quite cool, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did look a bit indie.
But they used to have bands and stuff, didn't they? Do you remember Frente? Frente were on playing in the surf club on the home and away. Do you remember that?
Was that a real band?
Yeah. Speaking of Australian bands, we talked to us in the interview talking about when I went to see him at the Fleece and Firkin, and he said there's a band called UMI supporting. Do you know UMI, Australian band?
I don't, but I did
they're
see
pretty
they
cool.
were on that
Oh
label.
no, I heard of it, but don't know.
And I remember the lead singer. He had his belt buckle not right in the middle, but on the side.
You did that as well, didn't you?
I got it from. I thought it was like the coolest thing I'd ever seen.
Your snake belt.
I thought, why is no, not the snake belt. It's just a normal belt. And I thought, like, why has no one ever thought of this before? Why are all these sheep putting their buckle in the middle when it looks so fucking badass on the side? So I wore my belt with a buckle on the side for about 2 months after that.
But that's a symbol, isn't it?
Oh,
like-
what does it mean?
You know, like having an earring in your right ear, that kind of thing.
It's a signal that you're available for gay sex. Is that what you're implying?
Pretty much.
Well, it never works. I didn't get any offers, so I mean, I'll try again, but I didn't work that back then. Not very comfortable though. It's a bit annoying. But yeah,
That's why it's not commonly done, isn't it? It's uncomfortable in your hip bone. Oh, I like what he was talking about, what it is to be a good lead singer, and
It was interesting, wasn't it?
John Lydon, slightly unhinged. Liam Gallagher, they keep you on your toes, but they're people that make the audience feel something. And it's hard to quantify, but I thought that was quite a good insight. Some front men have it, some of them don't, and women.
Took I just finished reading the Nirvana book I was talking about last week. They talks a lot about that, about Kurt having that. It doesn't matter technical ability or whatever. It's passion, yes, but it's something else. It's something. It's
The X
passion
Factor,
plus
isn't it?
something, right?
Yeah.
It's the X Factor that people on the X Factor don't have.
Yeah.
It's that, isn't it? Which is the irony of it all.
Should call it the Y factor, shouldn't they? Like, why the fuck are they bothering?
Hey, come on. Some of them. Ollie Murs. We'd have no Ollie Murs without the X Factor.
Is he from that? Is he? Okay.
Yeah. Dave looks a bit like Ollie Murs, doesn't he?
No, he looks like Simon
Not
Mayo.
at all. What did he say? I missed it.
I'm just noting your resemblance to Simon Mayo, Dave. That's all.
I think that's a compliment.
Yeah, he's a national treasure. It's a good one. But yeah, just like that thing of just you have to be present, you have to be honest, and mean what you're doing.
Authentic.
Right? Yeah.
But yeah, you can't. I don't think you can teach that sort of thing, can you? You either have it or you don't. I like that you mentioned A. I used to love a bit of A, but only that one song that everyone else knew.
Yeah. I think they supported them on the reunion shows as well.
They were really good. But I did buy the album. The album was all right as well, but that song was particularly good.
It's called Nothing.
Nothing. It's called Nothing, yeah. I loved his Flea story, and I did my research, and I went and had a look straight away.
Same.
49 seconds in, there it is.
It's there,
Riff
right?
to Fool's Gold, yeah.
It's there.
What, the ding 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 ding.
But he worked that out by himself. That's pretty cool, right? That's a great indie fact.
Well, he didn't work. No,
No, he
Flea told him.
He
Okay.
said, I wrote that song.
Yeah, exactly. But then he had to go and check it out, and like years after, dive into it and find it out. Yeah.
He was curious. Yeah.
It's going to blow people's minds, man, when they hear that. All the Stone Roses fans are going to go mental when they hear this fact.
That Warped Tour sounds like it was fun back in the day. I sense you're not a fan of Kid Rock from your interview.
Oh, man, what a fucker that guy is. Yeah.
He did that. He brought us that delightful song. What was it? It was All Summer Long. But no, you're not a fan now, Kid Rock.
No, I'm not. Are you?
Don't think so. Don't really know much about him. Isn't he a trumper?
Supporter. I think so.
Trumper,
Yeah.
I don't like bands with kid in the name.
How about Kid and Play, man? Kid and Play are great.
Yeah, Kid
Haven't
K.
heard it.
Yeah, Kid K on the MIC. Yeah, what's wrong, man?
What are you
What
talking
else?
about?
Who don't you like?
New Kids on the
Ugly
Block.
Kid Joe.
Ugly Kid Joe. Yeah.
Actually, I do like
Ugly
them,
Kid
so
Joe.
it's bullshit.
Yeah. And New Kids on the Block were good. All kid bands are good.
Yeah, Kid, you've got it. It's the opposite. All bands with Kid in the title, apart from
Kid Rock.
Kid Rock,
Apart from Kid Rock, yeah.
are good.
That's what I meant.
I also like the fact that the reunion was sort of just one fan's crusade to get the band back together. I like stuff like that. It was a bit like Adam Foley when he did the documentary on these animals. It's just like fiercely passionate fans that just want to see their bands again. I think stuff like that's great.
Yeah.
If it actually comes off.
Oh yeah, I mean, I thought it was quite touching, interesting when he was talking about when the band ended. I mean, he really seemed upset.
Yeah, it sounds like he went through.
He said he was bereaved. Yeah.
I think I've spoken about this before. I think if I'd rather not, if I had the option of being in a famous band and then it all ending, or just not being in one at all, I think I'd rather not be in one at all, because it must be all. Imagine like going from, playing to sold out venues to well, becoming a data analyst. But I know
What
it
the
works
fuck's
for him
wrong with
now. But it can't. I don't know how you do the.
Also, because he hadn't known anything else, because he came straight from school, right? Because they were so young.
Yeah.
So he'd never known civilian life, right? Yeah.
I'm not surprised it's difficult, and I'm not saying he did, but I'm not surprised why a lot of them sort of go off the rails a little bit, because it can't be easy. You basically got to, try and sort of get back in, or start a civilian life that you don't really know.
Yeah. Yeah.
If a band's all that only thing you ever know. So I get it. I think
Yeah. Well,
it's difficult.
Alex Boucher talked about that pretty well in the interview, and in his book as well. He talks about that really well. Yeah, kind of accepting that that's the end. Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's no way you could be successful and not face at some point some downturn. It's
Some
just
bands
inevitable,
don't,
isn't it?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
some
it's
bands
part of life.
sustain it, but it's not the norm. Yeah.
But did you notice how he answered the classic podcast question differently to everyone else? He didn't say what band he would like to have been in. He said who he would have liked to have been.
Right.
Who'd have actually wanted to be Keith.
Right.
So
Nice.
we should really just scrap his interview, because he didn't answer the question.
You're not going to respect the process, Ross.
Thanks, Ross. Make a mockery of our podcast.
No, he was lovely. Actually, it's one of my favourite ones so far for me. Just because he was so nice, and we're kind of into similar stuff. Really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and he always messages on Instagram as well. He's just a genuinely nice guy who's still into all that sort of music. But you didn't mention the Essential Festival to him. We saw him there.
Did we?
Yeah. Same year that Embrace played.
I forgot about that.
You fucker.
I'm sorry. I apologise to you. I apologise to Ross. I apologise to my family. I'm sorry.
It's not good luck, is it?
It's not. I apologise from the bottom of my heart. Thanks, Ross, for coming on. Really enjoyed it.
If you are watching this, then please do give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, leave us a comment below. Got a fair few new subscribers on YouTube this week. We're edging our way towards that 1,000 subscriber mark. Slowly, but we are edging.
Come on, spread the word.
Tell all your mates. If you're listening, then please do rate, review. Yeah, and tell all your mates. Share the podcast around.
We do have quite a back catalogue now, 50 odd episodes worth of it. If you're into the more punky side of things, who have we got? We got Compulsion, we got Smash,
Compulsion, China Drum,
yeah. We will talk to Alex Boucher, who was in Travis Cut. They're kind of more the punky side of things. Dig in, and I'm sure you'll find some cool stuff.
Yeah. There's some really good guests in there. The two Carter ones that we've just done, they went down really well. So go and have a listen to those. Mixtape.
Yep, it's going to be plenty of kind of punky stuff, bit of Minor Threat.
Are they on Spotify now, Symposium? They are now, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yes, they are. Yeah.
He said, didn't he? Yeah. I mean, I did mention Main Street again, so probably needs to go.
I didn't hear that.
That's it. Tune in next week. Oh, it's a Wang next week. We have to sort that out. Dave?
See you in a minute.